Hey everyone, we all know that the biggest and quickest way to get your hot water is to be called out or mention yourself doing the horrible act to a woman. You all know exactly what that act is, so I don't have to mention it. But I can definitely say that has to be the most common scandal brought up for celebrities. And it's taken very seriously. I mean, I can't even name someone that's joked or talked about it and has made a huge group of people angry over it. And if there is someone who has, they may not be super big or famous, but when you have thousands or maybe even millions of fans, it puts a huge spotlight for everything you say. And that's the exact situation for two people in this video, where they brought up something in a kind of passive way, but a lot of people noticed and started questioning about it. One of them mentioned doing the questionable act in a lyric in a song, but despite that, people still picked up on it and were divided if he was really being genuine or not.
Two extremely famous rappers admit to committing the same horrible crime at the height of their popularity. Rick Ross's admission was in 2013, and Cardi B 6 years later in 2019. Rick Ross received an incredible amount of backlash. Tens of thousands of petitions signed and hundreds of people standing outside of the Reebok headquarters demanding them to terminate their endorsement deal with the rapper. Cardi B, on the other hand, received tons of support.
That's pretty, extensive, just you getting arrested or worse.
Why it was okay. Today we are going to take a look at both of these situations and examine exactly why Cardi B was perceived as a victim and Rick Ross was perceived as guilty in the court of public opinion. Starting with,
because he's a queen, bitch, that's
in March of 2013, a rapper by the name of Rocco released a remix of his song UOENO alongside Future and Rick Ross. UOENO is
don't tell me he's in a lyric he exposed himself. Jesus.
The phrase, "you don't even know it." At the 2-minute and 10-second mark in the song, Rick Ross says, "Put Molly all in her champagne, she ain't even know it. I took her home and I enjoyed that, she ain't even know it." Listeners were shocked to hear Rick Ross directly.
If it was the first lyric, that'd be kind of bad, but he followed it up with the worst one
It's hard
possible.
to interpret this bar as anything other than a confession. At first, this was just
don't tell me he had a music video and they actually showed that part.
disbelief, but the song was getting more and more popular, making the rounds on social media and in the clubs. As more people were exposed to this specificity,
That probably would have been the best song to not blow up that good,
had to speak out. First, a petition calling for Rick Ross to, quote, publicly apologize for glorifying drugging/R-wording a woman was posted to change.org. The organizer wrote, "This should be investigated further and he should be prosecuted." With only 1,294 signatures, it didn't have a large enough impact. Then, Rosa Clemente,
There's still quite a lot, to be honest. I've seen less important stuff or less, stuff people don't care about get less, people, less.
Lyric is obviously promoting not just date, but and culture and violence against women. We live in a society that by the time African American women and Latina women are 18, almost half of them, 44%, have been sexually abused.
From there, more media personalities use their platform to encourage people to
don't tell me Cardi B did this, but for Guy, and it just flew everyone's head, flew over.
That's what we know.
Rick Ross, it's a shame that you don't know.
The controversy spread like wildfire. Every major news outlet started to chime in. When Ross responded to the controversy, he did more harm than good. On the New Orleans radio station,
He was like, I don't give it.
FM,
That'd be kind of funny.
Make sure this is clear. That woman is the most precious gift known to man. You understand? There was a misunderstanding with a lyric, a misinterpretation. The term rape wasn't used. I would never use the term rape in my records. As far as my camp, hip-hop don't condone that. The streets don't condone that. Nobody condones that. So I just
he didn't include it, but it was kind of obvious. Unless you were 2 years old, you probably wouldn't get that kind of a connotation behind
We
that.
don't condone rape, and I'm not with that. Ross claiming that this lyric was all a misunderstanding and then shouting out the sexy ladies just fueled even more outrage. Hip-hop outlets began speaking out against him.
Guys, Rick Ross has come to a crossroads. He is a great artist, good dude. He put me on his mixtape. I love the guy. But he's got to step up right now and do the right thing. And that right thing is a thorough...
He's a hard worker. He's been recording at 7 a.m.
about the lines that made people think he was endorsing date.
Ross's peers, such as Talib Kweli, began speaking out against him.
I don't care if Rick Ross is 40 years old. He's a misguided 40-year-old person. When we embraced him, we have to embrace him with love. Everything everyone's saying about that line is correct. Rick Ross condoned in that song, and he shouldn't, and he should apologize. And his apology that he offered was unacceptable.
That does seem to be like the one barrier if you go through, where your own people, like your friends, start, shutting you out. Not shutting you out, but, in a bad way.
Hashtag boss. This was his second attempt at an apology, but still sticking to his belief that you, the listener, misconstrued his words, and he didn't say anything wrong. Whereas many argue that there is no other way to look at this lyric, like Adam Howard from The Griot, who said, "There's no way to argue."
It would be fun to see like the radio edit and see how they would change it. I mean, there's no swearing in it, so the radio would be like, who cares, just, error it.
Listener to believe that women are consenting parties. But in this case, listening to a man gleefully rhyme about drugging someone and having sex with her while she's unconscious.
That's the best synonym for rapping. Gleefully rhyme. I like that.
Inability to accept responsibility, especially the National Organization for Women in New York City, who rallied in hundreds outside of the Reebok headquarters in New York.
That's a pretty clever acronym now. I like that.
Out there making fun of, making light of drugging and raping women, something that happens all too often in our culture.
These are actually 72,000 petitions signed by our members all over the country, and there are also comments from people about why they feel like Reebok needs to drop Rick Ross.
So far, this has seemed like the most, passionate advocation group, not advocation, whatever, it's like a protest against him. Yeah. If you have people actually like going on the streets in New York as well, that's pretty bad.
Now he's trying to avoid dealing with it.
Just a few days after the protest, Rick Ross was officially dropped from his multi-million-dollar endorsement deal. The company made a statement. While we do not.
So what is our brand, Reebok? I understand like UFC fighters, but rappers, I don't know.
Of the seriousness of the issue or an appropriate level of remorse. They continued. At this time, it is in everyone's best interest for Reebok to end its partnership with Mr. Ross. I guess Ross was hoping the outrage would eventually die out, because it was after Reebok dropped him that he finally made a formal apology. My choice of words was not only offensive.
After the huge pillar of money from Reebok dropped, then yeah, some to apologize.
Felt the sting of abuse, I apologize. I recognize that as an artist I have a voice, and with that, the power of influence. To the young men who listen to my music, please know that using a substance to rob a woman of her right to make a choice is not only a crime.
Now I want to see how he changed that song, because if he has like huge sponsorship get dropped from like people protesting against him, then yeah, I imagine he would like talk with other people to change that lyric, or at least, do something with the song.
Now, rappers have been spitting extremely controversial lyrics for decades. In a 2001 song called Fight Music.
I want to see that one, because I remember DMX being, X is Coming, yeah, that song being, controversial. And if you got a daughter older than 15, I'm censor that. Okay.
For decades. In a 2001 song called Fight Music by D12, rapper Bazaar said, "I hate you, I'll take your drawers down and ape you," while Dr. Dre videotapes you, which is extremely blatant and descriptive. Eminem has a laundry list of descriptive.
That feels more descriptive than the Rick Ross lyric.
Glorified or admitted to some heinous crime. Many people argue that none of these lyrics can be taken seriously because they are made up to represent a character or persona that doesn't represent the reality of the rapper.
He raps about drug selling, drug trafficking, being a boss, violence. That's what his brand is about. That's what he raps about.
Rick Ross is quite literally a stolen name from a real 1980s drug kingpin, Ricky Donald Ross, aka Freeway Rick.
That kind of sucks, because I don't like that name. But the fact that he actually steal it from someone else.
Many people use the argument that if music lyrics should be taken seriously, then why is there no outrage when rappers rap about robbing, shooting, and murdering people? But there is a very specific reason why this particular line from Rick Ross garnered so much backlash, and that's due to a shifting cultural perception on these types of crimes after 2 Ohio teens raped a girl and basically got off with a slap on the wrist. On March 6th,
I was gonna say like someone like who's close to Rick Ross came out about it. That would legitimize the lyric. I can see why this also story. I want to see this story because I want to know how they got slapped on the wrist, for just doing that.
It was a shocking wake-up call for the realities of these horrible crimes.
They look so smart, Jesus Christ.
Football players who were beloved by these small Ohio town. At a party, a 16-year-old girl drank more than she could handle, leading to her blacking out multiple times, only waking up to vomit. The defendants eventually brought her into the back of a Volkswagen, where Trent May, quote, proceeded
that looks like a cartel graphic photo.
Penetrate her with his fingers, while another football player videotaped it on his phone. Malik Richmond, the other defendant, took his turn violating the girl with his fingers. Although there was no penile penetration, any sexual conduct where the person is unable to give consent in the state of Ohio does constitute as rape. Then, compromising and
I know it's a really old meme, but I feel like if that would happen, where they got away scot-free, it would be Ohio. I hate that joke so much.
Later, they were given a flash drive of evidence, including the post shared on social media, but the police said the case
they shared as well? I swear, what is it with goddamn teenagers? What is it with them always like sharing their crimes, like actual photos in perfect 1080p online? Like that, what do you actually expect, apart from it just being shown in court against you?
Bias towards the boys, discussing their football dreams and how important football is to the community.
Lots of kids in town grow up hoping.
You know, who cares if we let these criminals do football? They're promising stars.
And then there's Trent. His father, Brian, a football coach, says there's football in his son's DNA.
One of his dreams. It would be funny if the judge was like, he did, do that horrible stuff and traumatize that poor girl, but he can throw pretty far, I'll give him that.
The kid was to play quarterback for Steubenville.
As one of Steubenville's football coaches told the New York Times, quote, the rape was just an excuse, I think. What else are you going to tell your parents when you come home drunk like that after a night like that? She had to make up something. Now people are trying to blow up our football program because of it.
Just like not the football program, come on.
Bigger, this story took on a life.
It would be funny if they also got a Reebok sponsorship as well.
The anonymous hacker group leaked personal information of 50,000 Ohio residents that they believed were helping obstruct the investigation. They also leaked a video that was taking place that night.
How much? Oh, hold on. 50,000 people were like, we can't let this promising star not get into the NFL. We have to keep him innocent.
They also leaked a video that was taking place that night, when a small group of friends, including the defendants, videotaped themselves bragging and laughing about the crime.
She's dead because there was a naked picture on her, a wang in the butt, and she wasn't moving. There's usually a reaction to that.
The boys proceeded to laugh and make fun of the
Was that before or after the case? Because if it was before the case, that would be horrible evidence you have against them, but in general, it would be good.
All around the world demanding justice for the victim. Many people referred back to the abhorrent mentality of these boys when criticizing Rick Ross's lyrics, whereas others felt like blaming a rapper's lyrics was merely a cop-out, and outraged people should be pointing fingers at parents. Then Anonymous organized the hashtag Occupy Steubenville protest, which got over 1,000 people to protest this case.
That sign back in red. Jesus Christ.
Finally, because of the outrage, the case went to trial, and the boys were found guilty. Trent Mays...
That's so bizarre. He's like, finally went to trial. Like, he was really 50-50 on if it actually carried on or not.
Was sentenced to serve at least 1 year. Although it took thousands of outraged people on the internet to escalate this issue for them to receive justice.
Oh my God, it's really him.
The punishment for these teens was not enough, perpetuating the reality that these types of crimes are not taken as seriously as they should be. And then 1 week after this guilty verdict that people are outraged about, Rick Ross has an extremely popular song that people see as glorifying this same horrible crime. It was a recipe for disaster. Yet despite all the backlash, this didn't even have any long-lasting impact on Rick Ross's career, or even the song. UOENO debuted at number 99 on the Billboard Hot 100.
I mean, it didn't have an impact, but still, like that huge connotation around him of that saying would have been pretty bad.
He released a visual to the song a few months later that depicts a woman drinking a spiked drink and begins spiraling before Rick Ross takes her home. And even though Reebok dropped him, he has still managed to secure tons of multi-million-dollar business.
He got a sponsorship with Checkers. Hell yeah, he's doing good.
Have you seen this guy's house? He is doing just fine. At the end of the day, Rick Ross does have deniability that what he said was fiction, as it was just a part of a song. Cardi B, on the other hand, does not have that deniability, because she admitted...
Well, I want to see now, because if I have the context of what people got so angry at him, but with the title of the video being like, only one is guilty, I want to see how easy she got brushed off. Because I feel like, I don't know, the having that kind of connotation in a lyric of a song will get you in more trouble nowadays than back then in 2012, I guess, if it was 10 years ago, or 2014. Because he did have that case of those true teenagers that kind of tied with him, that made people more angry, being like, okay, this case is going on right now, and you make this lyric at the exact time, making it feel connected. But I feel like with her, there's way more recent stuff, like way more legal cases that would make any lyric she puts in a song feel more, would make more people angry compared to back then. But at the same time, I would not be surprised if people didn't care because of fan base. She does seem, to me at least, like I barely know anything about her fans, but they do seem like the kind of people that would just not care whatever she puts in a song, at bare minimum.
What caused many to shower her with support rather than outrage. On an Instagram Live in 2017, rapper Cardi B was discussing the struggles that she went through to survive in the streets of New York City.
Niggas must have forgot, my nigga, the shit that I did to survive. Like, I had to go straight. I had to go, oh yeah, you wanna me? Yeah, let's go to this hotel. And I drug niggas up and I rob them. That's what I used to do.
Just like Rick Ross, Cardi B admits to drugging people, but specifically she said drugging men and robbing them. For more context, Cardi B was a stripper before she was a rapper. And in this instance, she was describing situations where men would try to solicit
even then, that feels like so long ago compared to Rick Ross. Like with Rick Ross, if he mentioned that in a song, in an actual song, it feels more genuine and more recent compared to this.
In March of 2019, it resurfaced via Twitter and sparked outrage online. Hashtag Surviving Cardi B began trending worldwide on Twitter, which was a reference to the Surviving R. Kelly docuseries that detailed all of the horrific sex crimes committed by the R&B singer. Cardi B...
That still feels like very pushed ahead to have like the same name as the documentary of this other guy that's, way worse, in my opinion.
Street punch. Then she continued to gloat about how people are trying to cancel her. I'm that bitch they love to hate. I'm that bitch they hate to love. When they try to cancel me on Twitter and Instagram. Critics felt like she was taunting them, which just added fuel to the fire. Redditors unleashed a firestorm of criticism.
Oh god, now Redditors. No.
Black People Twitter, calling the rapper...
Is that like a subreddit? What?
The post read, "She better get the Bill Cosby treatment or gender equality doesn't exist. This so stupid she called this hard work." As many of you know, Bill Cosby was accused by 60 women of rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment. And less than a year before Cardi B's post went viral, he was not only rightfully vilified for his disgusting actions, but found guilty and jailed for his crimes. Cardi felt like her words were being twisted and lacked context, so she posted a lengthy response on social media explaining her point of view. There are rappers that glorify murder, violence, drugs, and robbing, crimes they feel they had to do to survive. I never glorified the things I brought up in that live. I never even put those things in my music because I'm not proud of it, and feel a responsibility.
Yeah, that is true, Putting in a song feels like you're more proud of it as opposed to just, live streaming on Instagram.
Rise from that, but so many women have not. The men that I spoke about in my live were men that I dated and was involved with. Men that were conscious, willing, and aware. After the rapper's response, major media outlets began to clarify and highlight the quotes where she said that she was doing what she had to do to survive. There were no protests, no demanding of a deeper apology, no attacking her sponsors. For Cardi's fans and business partners, they weren't surprised to hear this information since she never hid who she was from the people.
That caved her head in.
They came from the streets, that came to the industry. I wasn't a Disney Channel star. I wasn't a nun. I wasn't a saint. I never was a saint. Okay, let me tell you something.
I love Instagram Live because of the comments. Like all of these just look like bot, replies.
They understood her struggle and were ready to move on. Even Rick Ross told her.
Oh, Reebok. All right. Can't cancel the sponsorship between her and Reebok.
Because we don't need to persecute her for her past. We need to be leaders, lead by example. And regardless of what you did in the past, if you stole a car in the past, that don't mean you shouldn't be able to get money in the future. As long as you change your ways, and we all know Cardi B focused on the money now, and she is a leader.
But it seemed like mostly men who were not fans of Cardi B to begin with were outraged at the lack of further outrage.
I just want to say now, that picture, any news article, this picture of this stock footage, photo, already makes it seem like written by an amateur.
change my view. If Cardi B was a man, we would be boycotting her music and her career would be destroyed. To which people countered that most other male rappers have had extremely public controversies that didn't destroy their careers. Chris Brown's...
I don't really want to say now because this feels like way more different than Rick Ross. Because at least that was like way like long ago, like in the past when you saw You Survive. It does seem kind of cringe to say like I had to survive, but I can see why at the same time. But even then, I see that feels way less severe than, you know, what Rick Ross did. And put in a song that makes it seem like he was proud of it, you know, highly.
6ix9ine pleaded guilty to the use of a child in a sexual performance, which was well known even during his popularity. And as we detailed before, Rick Ross did lose out on some money, but ultimately it had no long-standing impact on his career. Another post went viral on the subreddit Unpopular Opinion. Cardi B drugging and robbing men makes her a predator. Now, it actually took months for Cardi B to clarify that she didn't have sex with these men, which was a huge reason why Redditors were so angry. She was alone in rooms with men who thought they were going to have sex with her, since she told them that she would. Then she drugs them into unconsciousness, which is enough evidence for some people to assume that she could have also raped them, but Cardi denies this.
Have actually sex when you touch somebody without their consent. I never nobody. Let me tell you something. I never ever wanted none of these niggas.
An online comment read, "No one cares about male victims when it comes to these types of situations. They say, well, that's what his horny ass gets for going to a hotel room with a woman he just met. Let it have been a male rapper who was drugging women though. Sex crimes against men are more common than people think, but there is an assumption that men don't care or that they can't be sexually assaulted because of gender-based stigmas." And at this time, the Me Too movement and the Believe Women movement was at an all-time high. So many people just automatically believed Cardi when she said that she wasn't sexually assaulting anyone, and rather just hustling them for their money. But the outrage calling for her to be cancelled continued throughout the years, until someone found another old video of her where she explains a hypothetical situation where she describes setting up a sexual assault.
I'm gonna take him out. We're gonna get drunk. I'm gonna get him all perked up and everything. We're gonna have a good time. Get him super twisted. Then bring a bitch around. We're gonna have a threesome. And when he wake up, he gonna be like, what the f? Yeah, because the bitch was a tranny. I'm be like, yup, we had a threesome with a tranny. Yup, a tranny suck your dick. You don't gotta fuck another nigga to get even.
This looks like a vine, just too much speaking.
I didn't do it, but if I did do it, this is how I would do it. The descriptiveness of the situation is hard to interpret as just a joke. This was enough evidence for detractors to confirm that she was a predator. So when they saw this tweet in 2023, they felt like she had no right to speak on the matter. This world is full of predators. They prey on the innocent, the ones who are most unknowing, our children. Predators could be our neighbors, our school teachers, even people with money, power, and our
with money, alright, come on. Read it right.
Boundaries and what they shouldn't allow people to do to them. And with the entire internet calling her a hypocrite, she dug a deeper hole as she spoke about the situation yet again.
And now people want to come at me like, oh, you're the wrong messenger. You're the wrong messenger. Then you rob and drug men. And it's like, listen. Y'all not going to keep doing this because when it comes to weird ass predators and rapists and pedophiles and shit, I'm really like, I don't play that shit. I really don't play that shit. And then y'all be like, you drug and rob them. Did I touch their body? Did I touch their penis? Did I touch their ass? Did I touch them? Did I put my lips on them? No type of touching. Don't confuse. And even if y'all claim, oh, you robbed them, what's robbing and raping is two different type of shit. So don't call me no. Don't call me no predator. Don't play with my name like that because I don't play that.
Cardi stays firm in her.
I do feel like she went on more lies just from the drama. She talk about it every single day.
To be robbed. However, there is a third opinion that the vast majority of people hold for Cardi B. Cardi B came in the game during the Vine era promoting herself as a gang-affiliated stripper. Her off-the-wall persona made her who she
was. She really on Vine?
What can she say or do that would get her cancelled because she's been talking and acting crazy from the jump. LOL at bringing up her drugging and robbing men. Yeah, well, she told us from the jump she was a blood. What do you think bloods do? Sell Girl Scout cookies? They commit crime.
That's pretty funny.
Most people love
It's
to
pretty
point out
funny.
double standards and hypocrisy. They simplify this situation as man do bad thing, get big
That's pretty clever stock footage. He had a
do
laptop that said Predator. Pretty clever.
But the truth is, there is tons of nuance to consider when assessing any type of crime, social issue, drama, or whatever you want to call this. No two situations are ever the same. The only similarities here are Rick Ross and Cardi B are both rappers who admitted to drugging someone. The context, the intent, the time frame, the clarity of the words, the behavior before and after the admission are all entirely different, but extremely necessary to assess before you make a decision on what you think about these rappers. Now, I'm not saying they should be absolved of criticism, but if you're expecting rappers to be beacons of moral good, you're gonna be angry forever.
That's a good point. I feel like the one huge difference that even though Rick Ross, it felt like he was more proud of it if it had happened on his rap, it's still, there's more room to wiggle about debating like if it's if it actually did happen. But if you go on live and like admit it, it does feel more honest as opposed to trying to, make it up for the sake of a song, even though like the video's called like One Was Guilty, I still feel like Cardi B had like huge rhetoric against having the Me Too movement as well. Like he was right, even though like a lot of stuff happens to men and people just brush it off because they don't care. It does seem like this was the one time where like they actually really focused their attention on her for saying that. The one thing I want to know is like what percentage of their fans actually get angry at her, because when you see their lives, it's just the most generic stuff, seeing like repeating the same emoji over and over, saying yo, as if like they expect you to say hi back. But if you go on Reddit, even though as much as I hate that side, I can sometimes understand why people would bring as evidence for like people's opinion or like a topic. And there were hundreds of people getting angry at her as well, making like posts about it, which like isn't as severe as like the protesting against Rick Ross in New York, getting like his sponsorship pulled from Reebok. That's still, the fact like she got like that group of people angry at her, that's still, I feel like that's still kind of heavy. To the point that if it got, a bit bigger, I wouldn't be surprised if like some kind of sponsorship got pulled. I mean, she has like several, so at least like the weakest pillar, I wouldn't be surprised if that one got pulled, But even in this video, I feel like there was still like a group of people angry at her towards her that would still like account for her not being, purely innocent and getting away scot-free. It probably wasn't on the same level as Rick Ross, but it still seemed, like there was still people angry at her and she was like somewhat guilty. I don't know.